Hello, welcome to Soulprint Insights. I'm glad that you could join me today. I'm going to share with you the response I got when I asked Vesuvius to tell me about the process of death. What is the process the soul goes through at the time of death? Certainly in the last, handful of months, death, dying, that kind of energy has really become, I think, a little bit more pervasive. We're certainly more aware of it in our day-to-day thoughts because you know what? You can't experience the kind of death that we are experiencing globally as a result of this pandemic and it not cause you to sort of reflect a little bit. So I thought that this would be a really good time to share this with you. So just two quick things first. One, please continue to send me your suggestions as to what other areas you would like Soulprint Insights to cover, whether that is metaphysical, whether that is spiritual, whether it is for Vesuvius. Send those suggestions forward to me, and I'll take a look at them, and we'll try to get going and get done what we can get done to answer your questions or your concerns. So I thank you for that. Secondly, it has been my experience that humans and spirit have a slightly different meaning for the word death than we do. Okay, they're not the same. They're similar, but they're not the same. So when we as humans think of death, we think of it as the end of life. You know, the spirit, the soul has left the body and done. Just done, right? And whatever happens beyond that, it, happens. But when we say death, we mean it very much as a final act, okay? It is a final thing that happens. In spirit form, it's a little bit different because spirit, who understands completely that there is really no such thing as death because things don't actually die the way we understand it, so they really do see death as kind of like a movement from just physical to energy, right? Just the soul just choosing to leave the physical form and return to energy form. Now, that's what their definition is, which is how come they can talk about death and then talk about a near-death experience in almost the same framework, okay? So you may find a little bit of that flavor here, so just be mindful of it. And the other thing that I just want to remind you of is that death, like life and like our experiences, are really ultimately all about spokes of a wheel that move from center. They go into center and they move from center. And when it gets right down to it, that really is the way we understand the divine, the God force. We are all on our own individual spokes, our own journeys, but they come from and return to that central place that we all have a name for, right? Again, God, the divine consciousness, the universe, the light. So just keep that in mind, right? Because sometimes I think that the death of somebody is absolutely as unique as their living experience was. So here we go. What a soul experiences at the time of death is wholly dependent on what the conscious mind believes will happen. Those who believe that they will be greeted by a loved one who will guide them into the light will experience that. Those who believe they will experience a religious event will experience that. Those who think they are going to hell will experience that. And they will stay in that place until the soul realizes that it can move on. Those that become traumatized can end up trapped in a place where they relive over and over the final moments of that existence. This is often, you often see this in war, right? Where, you know, a soul just gets trapped, sort of reliving that, and they really don't. They're not able to move into the light, which means energetically, on some level, in some dimension, they really are sort of trapped in a dimension that is not of the light or not in the light. But, you know, they're not left there forever, and there is a way that they're drawn out. So, those who are very young, who have not yet formed consciously the idea, are gently guided back home to their guardians, or with their guardians, okay? So the very young, they are literally just scooped up and returned, okay? At the time of death, guardians and guides will surround the soul with love and light. They will energetically encourage the soul to move forward and return to the divine. While it is true for all, those who are traumatized or who are in hell will have their guides call on other energy forms to come forward and join in this energy process to increase the vibration in an ongoing attempt to connect with the soul so that the soul can move forward. Okay, so they're not abandoned, you're not left. There are always those guardians and energy beings around you, even when you are in energy form, and if you are trapped or traumatized or even just confused, they surround you and they work very, very hard to show you the light, show you that there is a way that you can move from the place you're in and forward. In the time following death, the soul will retain, if it so wishes, the appearance and personality of its last incarnation. Souls will often return to Earth in energy form to watch over loved ones, say goodbye, attend their funerals, or ceremonies of same. From that moment, when they return to pure energy form, time no longer exists for them. Most usually, at some point, the soul will feel compelled to continue its journey and move forward. As they journey forward, they will review their physical form life, experiencing again events of that life, not only from their perspective, but from the perspective of those others involved. They will feel and experience the situations and events from the other side of the coin, so to speak. In this way, they will gain clarity of the impact of their actions, thoughts, and deeds had on others, both in the positive and the negative. They review their past experiences and evaluate their time in physical form. This can be a difficult time, especially if the soul has much to review that was harmful or painful to others. Once this process has been completed, they then have the free will to choose what is next. Some will decide they need to return to their previous life to continue on to complete certain works, hence a near-death experience. That's how come so often when people talk about their near-death experiences, there's always that feeling of it wasn't my time, Sorry, it wasn't my time. I wasn't finished. There was something I needed to do. There was something I wanted to complete. Okay. When the soul chooses to remain in energy form, they may desire to watch over loved ones, seek atonement, simply be with those who are also in energy form. They may choose to spend time in rest, contemplation, learning, or perhaps they may wish to start preparations to return quickly to physical form. So, that sort of covers it all, right? That covers the people who, literally die and move right into another body very, very quickly. People who, might hang out in energy form for thousands of years, right? And everything, of course, in between. Then there comes a time when they must determine if they are ready to re-merge with the divine. When they are, they surrender their separate energy form and simply re-merge with the divine, God, universal consciousness, or whatever name you prefer. Eventually comes a time when physical form is again desired, and the process of preparing to return to physical form begins. And so then a new soul print is created, often taking into consideration previous experiences, new desires, and all the wonders of free will in physical form. There are souls who have experienced hundreds, thousands, millions of times in physical form. Don't forget all of the other dimensions, the other galaxies, the other universes. It's so much bigger than we realize. There are some who experience only a few, and some who have chosen to experience none. Once again, these choices are the soul's, and each experience is blessed and held gently in the realm of the divine. So, I guess the only sort of distinction, if there is one to make, and I don't know that it's that important to one, but I will point it out, is that those souls who die and choose very quickly to come back, they go through that sort of life review, and because time has no meaning, in our time, it can feel like moments, months, days, weeks. Linear time is our creation. Time really backwards, forwards, round and round, inside out. Okay. So what happens when you choose to bounce sort of from life to life in very quick succession is that you kind of miss that step of almost like re-merging with the divine. And that is okay. But that is a distinction, right? And again, everybody has their own spoke on the wheel. Okay. So, now, again, this is sort of a very broad overview, a very generalized overview, but I hope that it has given you some insight, some guidance, maybe reminded you of something that you forgot to remember. Until next time, stand in your strength and stand in your light. Bye-bye.